The cold wind blew through the broken windows of the old alien hospital. Dust covered everything. The lights flickered, and the machines made soft, tired, beeping sounds. In one dark corner, a thin figure sat in a metal wheelchair. Her name was Valera. 10 years ago, she was a proud warrior of her people. Strong, brave, respected. But everything changed during the Great War. A blast from a human weapon crushed her lower body. Her legs were useless now, just lifeless weight. The doctors did what they could. They gave her injections, ran tests, and promised new treatments. But after a few months, they stopped coming. It's no use, they said. She'll never walk again, and then they left her. For years, Valera sat alone in that hospital room. Other patients came and went. Some pitied her. Most ignored her. The nurses treated her like a chore. She stopped talking. She stopped hoping. Her eyes lost their fire, until one day, the door opened and a human walked in. He didn't look like a doctor or a general. He wore a brown jacket, old boots, and carried a heavy tool bag. His name was Logan, a human engineer working with the military. Valera stared at him without speaking. He looked around the dusty room, then smiled. "You're Valera, right?" he asked gently. She didn't answer. Logan walked closer and sat on a stool beside her. He pulled out a small scanner and waved it over her legs. "What are you doing?" Valera's voice was dry and weak. "I heard about you," Logan said. "Paralyzed for 10 years. Nobody helped. They said it was impossible. But I think I can fix your legs," Valera blinked. She thought it was a joke. For a moment, she wanted to laugh. Fix her legs after 10 years? "No one can fix me," she whispered. Logan tilted his head. "Maybe they can't, but I can try." She narrowed her eyes. "Why would you care?" He paused, then looked her straight in the eye. "Because I saw your old battle footage. You were incredible. You fought like a storm. If you still have that fire inside you, then you don't belong in this chair." No one had spoken to her like that in years, not with respect, not with belief. Valera looked away. "I don't fight anymore." Logan smiled softly. "Maybe not yet." Over the next few days, Logan returned again and again. He brought machines, wires, metal pieces, and strange tools Valera had never seen before. Every time he came, he greeted her like a friend. Others noticed. Why's that human wasting his time with her? One alien nurse whispered. "She's broken," another said. "He's just being kind." But Logan wasn't being kind. He was serious. He scanned her spine. He mapped the nerves. He asked questions about her injury, her pain, her past. Slowly, Valera began to talk again. She told him about the war, about the moment her legs went numb, about the shame of being forgotten. Logan listened carefully, never judging her. He just nodded and kept working. One night she asked him, "Why do you believe I can walk?" He looked up from his tools and said, "Because I've seen worse. I once helped a human soldier who lost both arms and legs. He walks now. He even dances. You deserve the same chance." Valera looked down at her motionless legs. For the first time in years, she let herself believe. Weeks passed. Logan built a prototype, a pair of robotic legs made of light, strong metal. They weren't beautiful, but they were real. He showed them to her one evening. "These are yours," he said. "They connect directly to your spine, but we'll have to train your body to use them." Valera touched the legs with shaky hands. "I'm scared," she whispered. "That's okay," Logan replied. "I'll be with you, every step." She looked into his eyes. There was no pity there, only respect in her heart. Something old and powerful stirred. The warrior inside her was waking up. Outside the room, the hospital remained broken and cold. The whispers continued. The nurses still laughed, but inside, in the dim light, a woman who had been forgotten was slowly rising again. Not because of magic, not because of luck, Because one human refused to believe she was broken, and because deep down, she refused to believe it too. Asterisk, the rumors began with footsteps. Every evening, just as the moons rose over the alien base, the sound of heavy human boots echoed down the metal hallway, always stopping at room 27. At first, no one noticed, but soon, the nurses started to whisper. Soldiers raised eyebrows. Engineers exchanged strange looks. Room 27 was where the Forgotten One lived. Valera, the paralyzed warrior. The silent girl in the rusted wheelchair. The one who hadn't moved in a decade. So, why was the human engineer visiting her every day? He brings her gifts, one nurse said. I saw him wheel in some strange machines, said another. They say he talks to her for hours, whispered a guard. Like she's royalty. Maybe he's studying her. Or testing something dangerous. Or maybe he's just in love. They all laughed at that. Who could love someone broken? But Logan didn't laugh. He didn't even listen. His boots walked the same path every day, without fail. Inside room 27, things were changing. The walls were still cracked. The air still smelled like dust and old medicine. But now, something new filled the space-energy. Logan worked late into the night, shaping wires, coding a control chip, testing the robotic joints he had built with his own hands. Valera sat nearby, her eyes more awake each day. She still couldn't move her legs, but her mind was sharp. Her spirit was rising. She asked questions. She made suggestions. She even laughed once, just once, but it echoed in the room like thunder. Logan smiled. Every time she spoke. One night, as he soldered a piece of wiring, Valera asked him, "Do they talk about us?" He looked up. "Yes, what do they say?" He paused. "That I'm wasting my time, that you're hopeless, that you're just a story now." Valera looked down. Her fingers clenched the blanket on her lap. "And what do you say?" She asked quietly. Logan walked over and crouched beside her. "I say, stories aren't over until the hero stands up again." The next morning, a message came from the base commander. Logan was summoned. He stood straight in front of the tall, four-eyed alien general. "You're spending too much time with the cripple," the general growled. "Why? She's not a cripple," Logan answered firmly. "She's a soldier, same as you once were." The general narrowed his eyes. "You're risking military resources for a dead cause." "I'm using my tools, my time," Logan said calmly. "And I don't believe in dead causes," the general grunted. "Then don't expect support when this fails. You'll be alone." Logan gave a small smile. "I already was." Back in room 27, Valera sat with the robotic legs beside her bed. They looked powerful, almost alive. She reached out and touched the metal, feeling the smooth surface. She whispered, "They think I'm useless." Logan sat down beside her. "What do you think?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I think I'm afraid to hope." Logan nodded. "Hope is scary, but staying broken is worse." He opened a small panel in the robotic leg and connected a cord to a control unit. "Tomorrow," he said, "we test the neural link." Valera looked at him. "If it fails, we fix it. And if it works," Logan smiled, "then the galaxy will remember your name again." That night, the whispers grew louder. "She's trying to walk again? With a human's help? Ridiculous, dangerous. She should stay in the chair. It's safer there." But deep inside the hospital, past the cold halls and broken walls, a woman who had been thrown away for 10 long years closed her eyes and did something she hadn't done in ages. She dreamed. In her dream, she stood tall. In her dream, her legs were strong again, and beside her, the human smiled. She had been left before, so she tried to leave him first. Valera had seen it happen again and again. People came with promises. Healers, scientists, even priests. They spoke kind words, touched her shoulder, gave her false hope, then vanished. When it got too hard. So when Logan brought in the final cables to connect her nervous system to the robotic legs, she panicked. "Stop," she said sharply. "Don't do it." Logan froze. Her eyes were hard now, cold. The fire that had returned slowly over weeks now flickered like a dying spark. "Leave," she said. "I don't need pity." Logan looked at her confused. "What are you talking about? You're wasting your time. I'm a broken relic. I won't be your science experiment. Just go, like the rest." She turned her face to the wall. Her hands trembled. There was a long silence. Then, instead of footsteps walking away, she heard the sound of a chair sliding next to her. He sat down, calm, quiet, still. "I'm not leaving," he said. She clenched her teeth. "Why not? What do you want from me?" Logan didn't answer right away. He looked at the robotic legs, then at her face. "I want you to see yourself the way I see you." She turned to him slowly. "How do you see me?" she asked, voice low, as someone who was crushed, beaten, thrown away, but still breathes, still thinks, still fights. Valera's throat tightened. Her voice cracked. "I don't fight anymore." Logan leaned forward. "Yes, you do. Every day you wake up in this cold room and live, that's a fight." Tears welled up in her eyes. She quickly wiped them away. Logan smiled gently. "You don't scare me, Valera. Not your silence, not your anger. I've seen worse. I've felt worse. And I'm still here." Later that day, she watched silently as Logan connected the cables. Again, this time she didn't stop him. Wires ran from the back of her neck down to her spine. Tiny microneedles read her brain signals and carried them to the robotic limbs. The system lit up with soft green lights. Logan held a small tablet in his hand. "Try to move your left toe," he said softly. Valera closed her eyes. For 10 years, her brain had forgotten how to send that signal. But now, she imagined a movement. Not big, just a toe. The robotic leg twitched. Her eyes flew open. "Did you see that?" Logan grinned. "I did." Her mouth opened in shock. Again. This time, the whole foot jerked, just for a second. She laughed. A real laugh, full of surprise and wonder. "I thought this would feel strange," she said. "But it feels like me." Logan nodded. "Because it is you. The tech is just listening." The next day, she sat on the edge of the bed. The legs were strapped in. The room was silent. Her heart beat fast. Her hands shook. Logan stood beside her, calm but ready to catch her if needed. "You don't have to stand today," he said. Valera looked at him. "I do." She took a deep breath. Then she pushed down with her new feet. The legs responded. Slowly, shakily, she rose. Not fully. Not smoothly. But she rose. Her hands grabbed the metal rail near the wall. She was panting, sweating. But she was standing. Logan's mouth dropped open. "Valera." She looked straight ahead. Her voice was steady. "I'm not broken." He smiled. "I never thought you were." Outside the room, a nurse peeked in. Her eyes widened. The rumor spread like fire. She stood up. With robotic legs? The human really did it? Some were amazed. Some were jealous. Some were afraid. But Valera didn't care anymore. For the first time in 10 years, she could look people in the eyes that night as she sat back in bed, her body sore but proud. She looked at Logan. "Why didn't you leave when I told you to?" He shrugged. "Because you didn't really want me to." She smiled slightly. "Maybe I didn't." He picked up his tools. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we walk. Asterisk if something goes wrong." Her heart could stop. That was the warning. On the screen, red letters flashed behind Logan's eyes as he reviewed the test report on Valera's spinal connection to the robotic legs. Too much pressure. Too fast a signal. The system could misfire. And the shock could cause her body to shut down. Logan stared at the screen, jaw tight. Valera looked at him from the bed. The bad news? He hesitated, then shook his head. Nothing we can't handle. She smiled faintly. Liar. Morning came with cold air and silence. Logan walked into room 27 with a harness, a balance bar, and 2 walking sticks made from lightweight alloy. Everything was ready. Valera sat at the edge of the bed. The robotic legs were already attached. Her fingers gripped the blanket tightly. Her skin was pale, but her eyes were burning with fire. She didn't ask if it was dangerous. She didn't ask if she would fall. She only asked one question. Will you catch me if I do? Logan nodded, every time. The training frame stood in the middle of the room, 2 steel bars on each side. Padding beneath in case of collapse, Valera wheeled herself to the frame. She took a breath. Help me stand. Logan came behind her, lifted gently, and supported her weight as she straightened her back. The robotic legs locked into place. The metal hummed softly. Valera gritted her teeth. Sweat rolled down her forehead. Okay, she whispered. One step, she focused. Her brain sent the command. Her spine fired the signal. The robotic systems responded. Her right foot lifted and slammed down hard. Too hard. Pain shot up her back. Her legs trembled. Her vision went blurry. Logan grabbed her. You okay? Valera coughed but laughed. Still alive. He gave her a worried look. We can stop. No, she cut him off. I won't stop at 1. The second step was better. The third was shaky. By the fourth, her knees nearly buckled. She leaned on the side bars, gasping for air. Her heart pounded like a drum. Her spine ached. Her muscles, unused for years, screamed in protest. But she smiled. Every small step was thunder in her soul. Outside the door, more figures had gathered. Soldiers, nurses, officers, watching silently through the glass window. One of them whispered, She's really doing it. Another said, I thought she was a lost cause. She's not, a quiet voice replied. Not anymore. Inside the room, Valera had taken 10 steps. Then she collapsed. Logan rushed forward and caught her just before she hit the ground. Her body shook. Her breathing was sharp and fast. Enough, he said firmly. That's enough for today. She nodded slowly, resting her head on his shoulder. Logan, yeah? I haven't felt this alive in 10 years. Later that night, as he cleaned the sweat from her forehead and checked the leg motors, she asked him, Why do you care? So much? He looked at her. You really want to know? She nodded. I had a sister, Logan said quietly. She was a soldier too, got hit in the back during a battle. She couldn't walk either, but no one helped her. Not even me. I was too afraid. Valera blinked. What happened to her? She died, he said, alone. Valera reached out and touched his hand. You're not afraid now. No, he said, not anymore. That night, when Valera closed her eyes, she didn't dream of battle or pain. She dreamed of walking through her home city again, of hearing the ground under her feet, and of one human walking beside her, step by step. Remove her immediately, the general growled. That thing on her legs is a weapon. The war room fell silent. 12 alien commanders stood in a circle around a glowing table, maps of their territory displayed in the air. All wore medals. All had served in battles. And now, all stared in shock at the figure standing. Yes, standing just inside the door. It was her. Valera. The paralyzed warrior. They had forgotten. The one they called dead weight. The one they left to rot in a rusted hospital bed. And she was walking, slowly, carefully, but with strength in her steps. Each clank of her robotic foot against the floor echoed like a challenge. Logan stood beside her, silent. He wasn't smiling. He knew what this meant. They weren't here for applause. They were here to be heard. One general slammed his hand on the table. You used human tech on her body? That violates our military code. Another shouted. You risked unstable implants. Near her spine, she could explode from feedback. Valera didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped forward, placed her hands on the edge of the war table, and said, "I may be part machine now, but I'm still more warrior than any of you." Gasps filled the room. Logan held his breath, the highest ranking. Officer, a tall alien with 6 glowing eyes, walked toward her slowly. "You were injured," he said coldly. "We honored your service, but you were no longer useful." Valera looked him dead in the eyes. "No, you buried me alive and forgot I existed." She raised her leg and slammed it on the ground with force. The robotic limb hissed softly, lights blinking. I crawled back from the grave. "And I'm not here to ask for your permission. I'm here to warn you." The generals looked at each other, confused. She stepped away from the table and pointed to a nearby screen. Logan tapped a few buttons, and a new map appeared. This one, showing hidden military tech labs where alien researchers had been designing combat suits. "But your own people told me," Valera said. "You've been trying to build something like this for years. You failed." Her voice rose. "The humans succeeded, and they gave me my life back." The oldest general sneered. "So now you serve the humans?" Valera raised her chin. "I serve no one. But if you want to throw away your own wounded soldiers like trash, then yes, I'll walk with those who still see value in us." The silence was thick. Logan stepped forward and said, "There are thousands like Valera injured, forgotten, locked away. What if we gave them this chance too?" A few generals looked uneasy. A few looked curious. The 6-eyed leader turned away. "This meeting is over." Valera and Logan left the room in silence. As they walked down the long hallway, she whispered, "That went better than I expected." Logan chuckled. "You just told off 12 war generals." She smirked. "Feels good." But behind them, far back in the shadows, one junior officer watched her leave with tears in his eyes. He had lost his legs 2 years ago. Now, he had hope. That night, back at the hospital, Logan was quiet. He stared at his tools, thinking. Valera asked, "You okay?" He nodded slowly. "Just wondering if they'll come after us." She looked at her legs, then at him. "Let them come," she said. "I'm done hiding." They came for her at midnight. No warning. No orders. No trial. Just boots in the dark. Cold metal hands grabbing her from the bed, and the hiss of tools ready to cut her legs off. Valera woke with a jolt. 2 armored soldiers stood over her. One held her arms. The other reached for her spine. "She's not allowed to keep the prototype," one of them said. "Command wants it dismantled." She kicked. The robotic leg struck the soldier's chest, launching him across the room into a wall. He groaned and didn't get back up. The second one raised his weapon, but Valera was faster now. She rolled off the bed and hit the floor hard, but the robotic limbs caught her. She pushed up. She ran. Alarm started to scream as she limped through the hallway, robotic legs clicking rapidly with each step. Behind her, boots chased. Red lights flashed. Voices echoed. "Stop her! She's stealing government tech." "She's armed." She wasn't armed. She wasn't stealing. She was surviving. Meanwhile, Logan was in the lower workshop, fixing a damaged stabilizer rod, when the alert hit his tablet. Unauthorized removal of prototype limbs. Suspect, Valera. He froze. Then he threw down the tools and sprinted toward the upper floor. Valera reached the outer gate. Locked. Guards aimed blasters at her. "Back away, Valera." One shouted, "You'll be shot." She raised her hands, trembling. "This is my body. These are my legs now." "Not anymore," the guard growled. "You're property of the military now." A shot fired. It missed, but just barely, then crash. A transport drone slammed into the fence, scattering the guards. Logan jumped out of the cockpit. "Get in." Valera didn't hesitate. She ran, jumped, and Logan caught her as she slid across the floor of the drone. The doors slammed shut, and the engine roared. They vanished into the sky. Silence filled the cockpit. Valera panted, her face pale. Logan looked at her. "Are you okay?" She nodded slowly. They were going to cut them off. He clenched the controls tightly. "I'll never let them touch you again." They flew far from the base, into the fog-covered mountain region, abandoned, forgotten, full of empty bunkers and broken machines from wars long past. Logan landed the drone inside a hidden hangar. "Old cold, but safe. This was my backup lab," he said. "No one knows it exists." Valera stepped out, shaky, sore, but standing. She turned to him. "We're fugitives now." He nodded. "Yes." She smiled. "Feels better than being forgotten." Days passed. They set up camp, repaired the legs, upgraded the joints, built power backups. Valera trained every day, walking faster, moving smoother, jumping short distances. She didn't just want to walk anymore. She wanted to run. Logan watched her with quiet pride. But he also watched the skies, because he knew something else was coming. The military wouldn't give up so easily. One night, Valera sat under the stars, her legs resting beside a small fire. "Why do they hate this?" she asked. Logan sat beside her. "Because it makes them look weak, but it makes others strong. That scares them too." Valera looked up at the stars. "What if we gave this to everyone?" Logan's eyes widened. "You mean share the tech?" She nodded. "Not just to soldiers. To anyone who was left behind like me." He thought for a moment. And then he smiled. "That would change everything." The ground shook, not from bombs, but from footsteps. Hundreds of them. Some walked on robotic limbs. Some rolled forward on high-tech wheels. Others flew low with jet boosters strapped to their backs. They were wounded. They were forgotten. They were called useless by their commanders. Now, they marched together behind the one who proved them all wrong. Her name was Valera. The news spread across the planets like wildfire. Ex-soldier who once couldn't walk now leads a rebel movement. Human tech gives hope to abandoned warriors. Valera the broken becomes Valera the brave. No one could ignore it anymore. Not the generals, not the governments, not even the humans. In the hidden mountain lab, the silence was gone. Every room was filled with people, alien and human, helping each other, fixing limbs, fitting suits, coding upgrades. And at the center of it all stood Valera, tall and strong. She had added armor plates to her legs now, painted red, a symbol of every drop of blood she had lost, and every battle she had won. Logan stood beside her, watching her speak to a crowd of newcomers. "Some of you were told you'd never fight again," she said. "Some of you were told to give up. I was too." She raised one robotic leg and stomped it hard. The metal rang out like thunder. "But here we are." Cheers erupted. Later, Logan handed her a datapad. "Another request from a soldier with spinal damage," he said. "He says his commanders threw him out after the injury." Valera nodded. "Send him transport. Bring him home." Logan chuckled. "You know this isn't a base anymore, right? It's a movement." She smiled. "Good. Let them see what the broken can do." Then came the warning. A scout ship returned, burning, damaged. A young girl limped out, one arm missing. "They found us," she gasped. "The army's coming." Logan's face went pale. Valera didn't flinch. "How many?" "Maybe 5 carriers. They'll be here by sunrise." A long silence. One of the engineers whispered, "We can't fight them." Valera raised her voice. "Then we show them that even the broken can stand." The night before the battle, she stood alone outside the bunker, looking at the stars. Logan joined her, holding a worn scarf. He wrapped it around her shoulders. "Cold out here," she smiled. "Not with this many hearts burning." He looked at her, eyes soft. "Are you ready?" She looked at her legs, at the hundreds behind her, and then back at him. "I was born ready. I just had to wait for someone to believe in me." Sunrise came. So did the carriers. They hovered in the sky like black giants, casting shadows over the mountain. But on the ground, standing side by side, were hundreds of soldiers, workers, children, all once left behind. Now armed, now armored, now unafraid. The carrier speakers crackled. A voice called out, "Valera, surrender the tech. Return what doesn't belong to you." She stepped forward, raised her chin. "It belongs to everyone now." And then, silence, a long pause. Then the carriers turned. They left, because even generals know. You don't win wars by crushing the weak. You lose wars when the weak rise. Weeks later, a new base was built, open to all species, free tech, free training. Valera walked the halls, not as a patient, but as a leader. Beside her, Logan smiled. "Funny," he said. "This all started with one step." She looked at him, eyes shining. "No," she said. "It started with you not walking away.